have the same aspirations to go and play college basketball. She's had a decorated career over here, and we'll get her to talk a bit about that. But yeah, it'll give you some insight to the college system. And obviously every college is different, but we'll have a good perspective of what Cass's situation is. So Cass, welcome to the group.
Thanks for having me. I always love coming back and talking to people who have played or are playing at the club that, I did most of my junior basketball at.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually mentioned that. We'll start with your background. So for us, it's really important. I'm going to let you talk about your background here, and probably by the end of this interview, you'll understand why it's important to me. But if you could just give us a little bit of your background, how kind of the process of not necessarily getting to where you are now, junior process here in Australia, and I know it was pretty hectic. So if you could take us, if you can close your eyes and think back to under 12s, what it was like going through the junior program in Victoria.
So I started playing domestic at Williamstown Magic from like under 8s to under 12s, and then I started 12 threes. I tried out for Altona Gators, and I was lucky enough to be in Kate's 12 threes team. And so then pretty much so from then on I played under 12s, 14s, 16s, 18s at Gators, and then and then played youth league as well.
It was pretty a long and drawn out career starting that early. With that in mind, what gave you, when did you realize you had a love for the game, or when did you like even goal setting, when did that kind of set in for you? I think goal setting and your love for the game kind of marry each other at that point. When did that set in for you?
I think I just love the environment of team sports. So as a kid, I just like thrived in kind of any kind of sporting environment I played in, and so then playing basketball and watching it, and then playing rep, just like that competitive environment that that you find in representative sports is really important. And I think it just kind of like laid on top of each other every year I played. The more things that became available to achieve, like for example in under 12s we like made it into VC, and then like classic, and then like there was opportunities to make state teams, and like just seeing, like as I continued to play, seeing a bunch of things open up and opportunities along the way where I could achieve more, I could do bigger and better things, kind of just kept me in it and kept me competitive and really wanting to just like be the best that I could wherever that led me.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome answer. That's probably something I was going to get into a little bit later, but you mentioned watching. Was there a person, not necessarily a sports person, but was there a person that you admired as a child that kind of, led you down that path of, that showed you the way?
I don't think there was, like, I know a lot of people grow up having like a favorite player or like that kind of thing. I don't think I ever really had someone in particular. I think there was particular people in, I guess, in women's basketball that I followed. But if I had to choose someone, it'd probably be like Rachel Jarry for me. Obviously, she played at Altona as well. And growing up, I guess, like just seeing that someone from Altona had made it, like playing for Australia. She started off here, and we're a small club. We don't have some of the like sizes of teams or the pool of kids that other clubs have, but like if you want to achieve kind of things like that, no matter what it is, different opportunities, different paths and stuff, like you are able to do that. You don't need to, go off and play for big clubs and that kind of thing. So I think for me, like seeing that someone before me had already like made state teams and that kind of thing, that I guess that inspired me, but it also fueled me to be like, hey, I can like do other things and add to that. And like, I guess that's, if I had to choose someone, it'd sort of be that, but yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad choice, and I'm hoping some of our girls are following your footsteps as well. So it's good that we do have that lineage, and we have had some success over the past 3 or 4 seasons with, just before you leaving, having gone to play for Australia, and Kobe obviously playing for Australia. We've had Kayla make state teams. Tyler made one this year. We've had kids in the ECC program. Like, we've had a lot of talent going through our program, which is good, and I'm glad that you're part of that lineage. With that in mind, you mentioned some of the things or how you made it to the point of where you are now. I'm going to probably touch on that several times, but I want to know what drove you to get up early mornings, because I want our girls to understand what it's like. Because I won't pretend to know what it is like for you, and I won't pretend to know you very well, but what was it like getting up those early mornings or having those extra sessions, and what drove you to do that?
I think, yeah, definitely. And a lot of girls and guys at Altona probably have the same thing. A lot of basketball is on the other side. So getting up for early mornings in terms of NITP and stuff, like obviously that differs. And so, yeah, there were some early mornings and that where you had to get up to train, and it's hard. It's hard because everyone likes to sleep in. But I think just for me, knowing that that what I was doing was not necessarily like worth it, but I loved it. I loved the challenge of trying to better myself enough that I knew exactly what I had to do. And I always tried to find the joy in like the little things that you did to make it all like, yeah, not seem worth it, but just like you knew that I was having fun when I was doing, and I was having even more fun with the fact that I knew that this was going to help me open more opportunities up for me. So I think just like reminding yourself, like always remembering, like, why did you start? Why did you pick up a basketball in the first place? Like that kind of thing, just reminding yourself, surrounding yourself in environments that not only competitive, but are also like, keep you happy and keep you wanting to be there. And I think that's, really important.
Yeah, and it is very difficult being a coach that has to get up that early as well. So I understand what that feels like, having to do that. But I probably share that same drive as a coach, but it's just different as a player. You know, you guys have to do all that running around. There's, and I always talk about the things that, are very difficult is when you don't feel like training. Those are the times where you're going to get the most out of this. You want to sleep and stay in bed because it's freezing cold, and you don't want to drive all the way over to the other side of the bridge, and all of those things. Those seem to be the times that I feel that they make you better. Those are the ones that make you better, not just doing this when you feel like doing it.
Yeah.
With that in mind, I know you're going to break a lot of hearts here. Everybody loves you here, and that's had you as a coach. Talk about your fondest memories. Kind of a two-part question. Your fondest memories as a Gator player and your fondest memory playing Victoria or Australia. So a two-part question.
That is such a tough question.
It's so long ago, Cass, because you're so long.
I think for me, one of my fondest memories at Gators is probably that when I 12-1's National Classic, not just because like we won it, but it was mainly because like I think at Altona there is a big culture about like the teams that you're in. It's not always I guess like about like individual success, but it was more about like we had a family, we had a team family that wasn't just the 12-1s, it was the 12-3s, the 12-2s all together. But I felt like when we won that championship, I was quite young, but it was like bigger than ourselves and bigger than what we did, and it was like for the club. And so that was probably one of my fondest memories. But again, there's like so many. There's like playing there for so many years. It's hard to figure out so many moments. And then I guess with Victoria and well, I guess for me, getting the opportunity. So when I got the opportunity to play for Australia, it was at a Oceania Championships, which is a stepping stone for a World Championships. So you have to qualify, and then that means like Australia will move on if we win, like get a place in that. So there's no guarantee that you'll play in the next round, like that kind of thing. So but just having the opportunity to put on the jersey and represent my country was amazing in itself. But my fondest memories in representing my state and my country, I think, come back to the teams that I was in and the culture. And I don't think I can pick one, but a couple of the state teams in that I was in, I just loved being a part of something. It wasn't like I'm a person who loves. I'm I'm suited for a setting in team sports and that kind of environment. So just trying to work together and pull all your strengths and combating people's weaknesses in terms of making this like becoming one and achieving things as a team just in itself is amazing. I don't know. So I can't be one. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. This actually proves my point about you. It kind of that answer plays into exactly who you are, and like the ultimate team player. But I still need to put you on the spot with this question, because there'll be something in your own individual performance. Was there something, or whether it be Australia or whether it be Victoria, was there something or a game that you remember that, you felt like either you arrived or that you belonged, other than the team stuff that you do? I don't think it's ever really an issue for you, but was there a game that you could really think about? It doesn't have to be statistically necessarily, just a tough win or something like that that you can think of.
I don't know. I guess there was probably a game that under 20s playing for Victoria. So I was an emergency, and I got called into the team. I'm not sure how long it was before, probably like a month before we went. And so knowing going into that championships, I knew that I was probably like 9th, 10th man in the team, which obviously I was fine with. And like I knew my position, my role, and I was just going to do what I could to be, a team player and do as much as I can to help us win a championship. And I actually ended up playing a lot more than I thought I would. And there was a game we played New South Wales, and we won in overtime. But it was like right before the end of, I think we were like down by 1, and it was right before the end of regulation time, and I had 2 free throws, and I absolutely jacked the first one, like smacked it off the back of the backboard. Like it was so bad. And so if I made both of them, we would have won. But and then I made the second one, and we went into overtime, and then and it wasn't like a game where I had a really good, like I didn't score heaps of points, I didn't have heaps of assists, I can't even remember any of that kind of thing, but just being a part of, it was like such a nail biter game, and that was like a pivotal turning point for us in the championship, to end up going along and winning the whole thing. So I think, there's quite a few games I can think back of kind of like that, but that's just one thing that came up.
That an interesting question, just because when you have a storied and decorated career, it's always hard to find that one situation. And for somebody like you do kind of find that team-oriented situation that makes you feel the best in any of the situations that you've been in. So it's not shocking to me that you can't really pull one from yourself out of that situation. That's just who Cass is. Just fast-tracking a little bit past your junior career, I guess you were still a junior as you were doing this, but what do you think, or what did you gain from your experience at the Melbourne Boomers?
Oh, wow. That was a really awesome opportunity. So for those who don't know, I was still at Gators when I got offered a position as a development player. And so I was development player there for 2 years, which basically means you were just like a youth kind of junior player that trains with the main team in all their sessions. You're usually on the scout team sometimes when it's in season, but you get the opportunity to train with like some of the best girls in the country. And then, so for me, as not really knowing whether I wanted to play college or stay here, it was an awesome opportunity for me to play with, some of the best female basketballers in our country. And I think I learned a lot about, playing your role in the team, but also like not backing down to the challenge. I think in my first year there, I was a little bit timid in terms of like shooting. Like if I was wide open, I probably didn't shoot it, or I would always like pass off, or like, find the best player on the team, or that kind of thing. So I think as I kept playing with them and training, I think I got more confident, not in terms of just like, jacking up stuff or like whatever, but being like, I'm there for a reason, and I'm learning. Like for me, it's hard to like tell myself like, you've earned this, like you've put in all the work. So like, take the opportunity, like as soon as like you get the chance, go out and give it all you have. So I think that really taught me that, which I probably didn't have as much. When going into those situations with players that like I thought were like always just so much better than me, I think that really helped me further in my career.
Yeah, no, I thought it would. It's always, obviously, it's always great to play with players that are older for starters, and obviously playing with girls at that level that they're, representing Australia on the international level as well. So it's always a great opportunity for you. Now, considering that you've had several coaches, we'll say, and you've had a lot of coaching over the course, whether it be individuals, whether it be your rep teams or your, representative teams for state or internationally, what do you feel is the difference between coaching here in Australia and what you're receiving from Coach Folks at the moment at Davidson?
I don't think it's completely different. Like for me, I think all coaches have, like, whether they're in a certain system, like just say like the rep system here or the state system or the system over in America, I think that every coach has their own style, and for them to like stick with that and own what they are as a coach is super important. So I think I wouldn't say it's completely different, but because of obviously it's a different situation playing in college, and like the way the league is structured and the way the system's structured over there, it is a little bit different. But I think obviously I'm older playing over there, so we're all like between the ages of 19 and like 22, so it's a lot more responsibility and accountability on ourselves, and learning that you also like keeping your teammates accountable and that sort of thing, because we are all there to, which is similar here, but like just in terms of like that kind of environment. I don't really know in terms of like differences coaching, but that's kind of all I can think of.
Yeah, I'm going to probably touch on that a little bit later. That was a really key point that you brought up. But before I get to that point, can you talk us through your personal recruiting or experience with recruiting and all of those things? I know there was a lot of to and fro, whether to stay here or whether to go and play, and lots of conversations back and forth whether you should do or whether you're doing the right thing or not. Can you talk our girls through that situation and what it's like in that recruitment situation, please?
Yeah. So my, recruiting process is a lot different to a lot of other people, because I didn't think I was going to go to college. I wasn't one of those kids that grew up since they were like, I don't know, all through high school saying that they were going to go to college, and they had their subjects sorted out and they were like talking to people from young age. I had none of that, because I don't think I was exposed to it, but also I just like, that was never something. I just knew there was opportunities here. And I just thought that was going to kind of happen. And then when I got picked up at Melbourne Boomers as a development player, I kind of just saw that as my pathway. And then, I guess kind of some things changed in that, and I got some attention from Davidson. Kind of they just were talking back and through. I spent a lot of time talking to the coaches. They gave me like kind of virtual tours of the facilities and the places and stuff, and it seemed like a really good opportunity, especially because I find academics and that super important. So also being able to get a really high level degree and then also play basketball at the same time. And just for me, a lot of the things were that I was traveling so much here for basketball, and I had done that obviously my whole junior career and stuff. And it kind of got to the point that it was a big, I guess not incentive, but like the fact that everything was all collected together and it'd all be in the one spot was really appealing to me. So then that opportunity came up, but I was still toying with the fact that I was in a program over here with Melbourne Boomers. And then, like you said, there was a lot of back and throw, and not being a person that's good at making decisions, I found that really hard. And so I wasn't really sure, kind of where to go. And then I went over there for a visit, like one of the NCAA visits where it's only like 72 hours or whatever it is. And they show you around, you meet the team and stuff. And I just felt so comfortable in like the town, and the area and the schooling system and the basketball team and stuff. And it just all, yeah, it gave the appeal that it was going to be a home away from home. So then I just, made the decision that I was going to go over there and give it a shot. And yeah, it's been absolutely amazing. So I'm really happy that I made the decision to go over.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I actually want to touch on something you mentioned in your answer. For you guys that don't know, Davidson, for one, obviously, it's mostly known for Stephen Curry, but it's one of the toughest schools to get into academically. So, and I know it's probably just something that people say, you have to do well in school or else you won't be able to do this. But first of all, what are you studying? And how did your education here in Australia help you translate to what you're doing over there? Because I'm going to ask you a question later about, what the load is like, but just from a educational standpoint, because it is one of the top schools academically, what was your education here in Australia like in helping you translate that over on that side?
So I'm currently, I just actually at the end of last semester declared my major in environmental social science, and I'm minoring in anthropology. So I went to Gators College here. I did all my high school there. And so, as I got into year 11 and 12, I had to make sure that, which a lot of you probably know, that some of your subjects have to line up with NCAA rulings because of the difference in system and that kind of stuff. But I think, especially in Victoria, our VC program really sets us up in terms of, workload and that kind of stuff. Well, for me, at least, I found, obviously everyone's different, but I found that our system and the way that we had to prepare for exams and stuff, and it's like a whole year long thing, really set me up for the, the vigor of the academics at Davidson. So as much as when I first got over there, I was quite, admittedly, I was quite overwhelmed with the fact that it's a very high level academic institution, and a lot of the kids I was interacting with in the class and stuff were like, this one kid was like to me, I got into Yale, but I decided to come here. I was like, oh my God, where am I? And people's I'm not a big, I've gotten a lot better at it, but discussions and stuff in class, I'm not the first kid to put my hand up. I'll join in, eventually. And some of this stuff, I would just sit back and the kids were saying they were so articulate. And then once I came to realize that, I have put in the work and stuff, like say with basketball, I have put in the work academically, and I have a voice and I fit in here. And so once I kind of got my groove and felt got acquainted to the American style of learning, which obviously is different depending on the school and all that kind of stuff. But the experience, I felt once I got into that kind of groove and stuff and got a bit more confident in that I was, academically strong enough to be in that situation, I think, I really thrived. So.
No, that's good. So, my message to everybody would be, obviously, your academics make a big difference. And Cass will talk about it in a second when I do ask this question, but it's a great segue into my next question, which is probably more around I want you to speak on this. We can talk about both. Speak on it more from the athletic side, but you can talk about your academic side, even though you just did. But what did it meet your expectations? Because sometimes we have an expectation of what our playing time is going to be like, and when I'm going to go here and I'm going to bust everybody up and I'm going to be a star and I'm going to do all of this. Did it meet your expectations, athletically or even academically? Did the experience so far meet your expectations?
I think for me, it actually probably exceeded my expectations, not because, I don't think I had, like I said, a lot of people, know they want to go to college from whatever age and stuff, and I didn't. So I didn't have that many, I hadn't spoken to as many people that had been to college before. There was only a couple of people that people had said, get in contact with them, they can tell you a little bit about it and that kind of thing. So I didn't have a broad, expectation of anything. It was kind of just what people had told me, that kind of stuff. So I think it did exceed that. And another reason why I did was because my coaches were super transparent, and that's what kind of drew me to the school as well, was that they said that obviously we're going to the effort of getting you from a different country, and we think you could be a really pivotal part of this team. But we're not here to, like, if coaches start promising you, you know, you're going to play plus this many minutes a game and stuff. That doesn't appeal to me at all, because you're promising something that is not, like, minutes and stuff are dependent on game, dependent on this, there's a million factors that kind of stuff depends on. So I think that them just being super transparent with me, with saying that, like, yeah, we think you're going to fit really well into the team, and yeah, you'll probably play a lot of minutes, or like this and those kind of things. It just made, when I got there and when I actually experienced it, I think, yeah, it probably exceeded my expectations.
Oh, that's good. And that's the thing. I just really wanted to ask that question on behalf of the girls, because, like, I encourage all of you, as you probably know, to go in with confidence and know what you're going to do, but you have to have an idea of what your landscape is. And in college basketball, they're always recruiting behind you anyway. So that's the difficult situation for you guys. And you almost feel like the flavor of the month. And it takes a bit of mental toughness and some intestinal fortitude to go through that situation. You know, they're literally recruiting your position right behind you.
Yeah, so I think to touch on that too, like for me, my first year I came in and like there was no one behind me because I was the first year. So I just did what I usually did and like played how I did. And then the second year came around and there was a class 4 freshmen who were absolutely awesome. But yeah, there are a couple of girls that are in my position, and it became, not that I wasn't fighting the year before for my position in the team, but it became like, yeah, the people that we're recruiting, the better we do as a team, the better the recruits are going to be. So we're going to, like, everyone has to keep each other accountable to step up to a new level. And I think not going in and being like, oh, like the people younger than me aren't, like, they're going to, if they're better than you, they're going to play over you. So I think that just like understanding that, yeah, it is a team environment, but also like if the team's doing well and you're getting better people in, like everyone has to step up at the same time. And it's like, that's how I think a team really excels or advances in that kind of, league, the college kind of setting, that landscape.
With that in mind, can you talk us through, I talk about this a lot with anybody that asks me my opinion on colleges and things like this. Can you talk me through a typical day in season and a typical day for you out of season? So I always think that's really important for people that, don't just be happy you're going to school, because you're really only playing basketball 4 months out of the year. Do you want to be in, what kind of environment do you want to be in? So can you talk about a typical day for you, or maybe even a game day in season, and then out of season, what school was like for you?
Mm-hmm. Just firstly on that, I think definitely when you're picking a school, if you do decide to go to college, it's super important that you don't just base it all on the basketball, because there are times when basketball isn't being played, and so there has to be that kind of other landscape. But I guess for me, so just like a normal day, if I in season, depending on when the game day was or that, I probably just get up in the morning, eat breakfast in my room, and then head to class. Depending on what day it is, my classes, we at Davidson, we have a thing called division of the day. So classes run between 8 and 4, and then after, so there can be no mandatory team practice before 4 o'clock, but there can also be no mandatory school things after 4 o'clock. That is not typical for many like universities, especially the bigger ones. They can obviously do that because we are a very small school, but so just keep that in mind when I explain this. So we have, so I'll go to class in the morning, then I might have like lift, so strength and conditioning between classes or after classes. I typically have 2 classes every day. So like one class will be every second day, but 2 classes a day. And then go to my other class, and I probably study for like 2 hours somewhere in between that day, depending on how much homework I have. Grab some lunch somewhere in there. I'll probably get on the shooting machine or have an individual with a coach sometime in that block. It kind of depends when, ours is pretty flexible in terms of when your classes are. And because we're all in one big area, like I don't have to like catch a bus or travel to everything's like walking distance. Yeah, and so then probably sometime during the day, I've spent an hour hanging out with my teammates in our locker room. That's usually where at some point in the day you end up, and people are just hanging around. And then, yeah, usually at 4:30 we start practice. Like you're on court by 4:30 we start practice. We go for 2.5 hours, depending on if we've had a game past couple of days. Yeah, and then we all head to dining hall afterwards for dinner, and then yeah, I guess that would be a typical training day. But then a game day also depends on, we have night games, midday games, those kind of things. But I would, during the day, we have like pre-game meal. I get in a shooting session with the coach. Then yeah, right before a game, probably get some more shots up, then get some treatment, like physio and stuff before, and then head back out for more shots. And then we do all things as a team, like within an hour before. And then out of season, so in the off season, it's so long ago because we didn't really get an off season this year. But yeah, so I would, same thing, 2 classes a day, get up in the morning. There's usually some time hanging out with friends, sometime during the day, then studying. Yeah, probably at lunch, then probably study for at least 1 or 2 hours, and then get an individual with a coach, because there are restricted hours in the off season with how many hours you're allowed to train as a team and strength and conditioning. So I probably, we lift like 4 days a week, get in a session shooting with a teammate. We usually like get in pairs and every day and trying to get more shots up. And then we'd probably, have a training in the afternoon. But then there are days, obviously in the off season, because we are on restricted hours, that you don't have training. So it's kind of on your own if you do other stuff, shooting and that. Like the facilities are there and coaches aren't saying like you have to get in the gym, but that's where that whole accountability comes in. So I think our team is really good at like holding each other accountable, like, hey, let's go and do our own like shooting session or that kind of thing. So yeah, I know that wasn't very in order, but our days are all mixed up. So there's not really a typical day, but yeah, that's roughly.
And I touch on just something that you just mentioned about accountability. Now, is that something you started while you were here in Australia before you left, the accountability of cleaning your room, looking after yourself, cooking for yourself? Or is that something you started there, or is that something you had to kind of learn because you were on your own in the college situation?
I think for me, like I've been pretty good at keeping myself accountable for things, like in terms of like training, like doing all the stuff that has got me to where I am. I think I'm pretty good at being self-disciplined and accountable. That's a thing I pride myself on. So yeah, I think it starts with, obviously, like you said, like the little things. But I think it definitely has built, because it's one of our team kind of core values, in terms of not just like a lot of people on my team coming from a background where, like, I've got a lot of people on my team that are super like crazy smart, like they're like pre-med, ready to be doctors and that sort of stuff, and they play basketball as well. So they're really self-disciplined and keep themselves accountable and that kind of thing. But what we wanted to work on as a team was keeping each other accountable as well, because obviously we're all there because, yeah, you know what I mean? Like we're getting a degree, we're playing basketball at some of the highest levels, but we're also, there to strive to achieve things as a team and grow a program. So keeping yourself and others accountable for our team is really important. And that keeping others accountable, I think being, always trying to want to like be a good teammate and please people. I find it hard to just kind of call people out and be like, hey, like, remember, this is what we're doing. This is the goal that we're trying to achieve and stuff. So I think over time, that is something that I've definitely improved on, being in that environment.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Cass. Were you not captain this year?
Yeah, I was one of 3 in the leadership team.
See, so everybody, I do know what I'm talking about sometimes. Now, as a captain, because this is a little bit different, as a captain, how do you maintain your personal goals? Because I know in the college system, it's probably a little bit different here for me, for all of you guys that have played for me. You know, I don't really put a lot of ownership on the captaincy as such to make you hold people accountable or things like that. It's probably more of a situation where I'm trying to teach you how to lead in those situations. So talk about how does that affect your personal goals, or does it affect your personal goals?
I think for me, that is like definitely something I'm still working on, because obviously being offered a leadership position in my second year was kind of hard to balance. Like, there are people on my team who are older than me that, like, obviously, like, I'm not above anyone as a leader. Like, you're walking beside people, you're not trying to drag people along, or no one's in front of each other. So it was still hard to be like, yeah, find my feet in that position. And yeah, sometimes you do, I don't know, I think sometimes I put too much responsibility on myself for like our team goals in terms of, and that was something that, yeah, I'm definitely still trying to balance and remember that, yeah, a team is built from all different pieces. So like, if you forget to work on yourself in terms of like your personal goals and stuff, it's hard for the team to come together as a whole. So yeah, I think that's a really good point, because that's something that, yeah, I'm striving to improve on.
I'm only going to ask a couple more questions, and hopefully the girls have some questions for you, but I want to go back to the education part for a second, just to ask, what's that load like? Because you are in a fortunate situation. I guess I say fortunate that you get to travel. You guys travel interstate a lot, and what that's like, are there tutors? Are there, what's that like? Do you have to meet with someone to catch up in class? And because I don't think our girls may understand that load of actually having to train all the time and then having time to make for your schoolwork, especially at the level of academia that they're asking of you there.
I think so. Obviously, whatever I say is dependent on like, is from my experience at Davidson, and all colleges are different because they're different size, they're different location, they're different, the systems that they run on. But I guess for me, when I first got there, it was very difficult to time manage, and there's expectations from your teachers, and there's also expectations from your team, and you are on the road a lot, whether that in season you're flying so we usually play like a Wednesday and then a weekend, or like Thursday and then a Sunday, that kind of thing. So it's 2 games a week. And so you could be playing at home, but you also could be flying. Like for us, we have quite a few teams that are up east, like up north in New York and that kind of area. So we would fly up, just say like Thursday night, miss a whole day of school. And our school has a pretty strict policy on missing classes and that. So it was, and obviously basketball is a good enough excuse for that. Like that counts as an excused absence, but still, like, you're missing pivotal time in that kind of environment. So you have to be, for us, we have to be super diligent in terms of like contacting teachers and getting notes off teammates and like peers and that. But I think we don't have, so there is a lot of resources at school in terms of like tutors, and there's like centers for all different types of, so there's like a math center, a writing center, that kind of thing. So when we are on campus, we can go into those and get help. There's also like student tutors. But a lot of it for us, I think, in my experience, for my team, like we'll be on a bus for however many hours, depending on whether we could have flown to a place or not, that most people are studying on the bus, that you have to maximize all the little times you get. And I think my team's really good at helping each other, and we have a lot of upperclassmen, so upperclassmen is like anyone that's like a junior or senior that studying similar things to each other, and usually have taken classes other people have taken. So we're pretty good at like all coming together and, helping each other out. I remember one time we were, like in a hotel, and we all usually, when we get to a hotel, we all usually go into the lobby and like just take over the lobby, like books and computers everywhere, like everyone's studying and stuff. And yeah, like someone's got some essay question that they're trying to work out, and everyone's all hovered around trying to help out, and like just kind of that environment. Like obviously that might not be in everyone's situation, but I think for us, like we're all like-minded people, and we're all trying to strive for success in both basketball and in our academics. So yeah, I've learned to time manage better and be diligent, but also like, yeah, be accountable for like making sure that I get all my work done.
Yeah, no, and I only bring that up to empathize with you, because I went to a small school that was I think we were ranked 5 in the nation when I went to Whittier College, and I was on academic probation after my first semester.
Yeah.
when you're out on your own, you know, nobody's standing over you, making you do your work and doing all that kind of stuff. And you do get lost in, you know, we have football games and all that kind of stuff that you're going to on the weekends. And I wasn't a big party guy, but it's easy to lose your concentration when nobody's standing over you.
Mm-hmm.
Until that teacher comes and hands you that letter that you're on academic probation, and if you don't get your grades up, you can't play. And after that, I was on the dean's list. Like, Cass, being on the honor roll is a fantastic thing. For you guys that don't know what honor roll is, I don't know if you have it here in Australia or not, but basically people that have a high GPA get recognized by the school. So congratulations on that. I think that was a big deal. One last question for me before I open it up for the girls. Without being too intrusive, what challenges did you come across in getting to where you are now? Like, I don't think anybody gets anywhere without any challenges. We've talked about your pathway, and we've talked about how you got to where you are, but I'm sure there was some challenges and maybe some setbacks somewhere. How did you overcome them? Without being too intrusive, you don't necessarily have to talk about exactly what they are unless you want to, but what did you do to overcome those? Because we've had some girls in our system that have some setbacks, and they'll need to use that to propel them to go forward. Can you talk about something that maybe you've gone through?
Yeah, so obviously, and it probably goes for every athlete, there are a lot of challenges when it comes to sport when you're in that kind of competitive environment. I think a couple challenges that like really stick out to me, like the first one is, and there's probably a lot of situations where athletes have been in this, where you get cut from a team straight up. That's one of the hardest things when you believe that you've put in as much work as you can, and then they say, oh, you don't really fit in this team, you're just not what we're looking for, you're not quite up to where exactly we need to be, and that kind of stuff. And that can be really hard, but I think always remembering that everything you did to like get to that position was worth it, and you just have to keep, like, yeah, there are going to be teams that you just don't make. Oh, there might be situations where you make a team and then you sit on the bench and you don't play. Like, that has also been a challenge. Like, yes, I did get the opportunity to play for Australia, but there was a couple games where I didn't play. I didn't actually get to step on the court. But for me, the way I overcome things like that was I remembered that it's a team game, and any role that like I had to play. So like I was going to be the loudest person on that bench. I was going to wave my towel like as hard as I could, because I got put in that opportunity. I got put in that position, and I had the opportunity to just make the most of that situation. So if you can turn things like that, like, yeah, that sucked. Like, obviously everyone wants to play. Everyone wants to play 40 minutes. You like want to be in that situation. So a challenge is sometimes flipping it and just finding the positive in the situation. Like, yeah, I wish that wasn't how it exactly panned out, but like just trying to make something, like, life isn't perfect. You're going to have things like that. Another challenge I would probably say is just getting, I think it's a big thing in girl sport as well, is like, for me, one of the things I struggled with is, I think as I got older, probably, I don't even know what years I'd say, like 18s maybe, into my senior career and in college and stuff, I do sometimes struggle with confidence in terms of like hesitating to shoot the ball. Like, I think just my mindset, like sometimes I have this like idea that I don't want to be a ball hogger, I don't want to be this. And I think I got caught up in the idea that I label myself as like a facilitator, which like there are players that are really good facilitators and that kind of thing. But I think I got lost in that and forgot that like I am a really good shooter and I have put in the work. So I need to remember that like if I'm open, I need it, like for me to help the team, it's like might be taking 20 shots a game. It might be like that kind of thing. So I think like just for me, a big challenge was like learning to switch my mindset to, you're not I think, it happens a lot in girl sports because they're worried about how they look to their teammates or other people, or how they don't want to be perceived wrong. Like, you want to be the best team and you want to like that's kind of what you want to be. But I don't know if there's any girls that are in that kind of situation, just being confident, like remembering you've put in all that work, and just going out there and giving it a go, like be aggressive, be all that kind of stuff, and just go out there and play. You only get so many years to play junior basketball, you only get so many years to play senior basketball. I'll only have 4 years to play college, and if you kind of get lost in all that, then you're missing opportunities. So I think for me, that's a big challenge, and I'm still working on it to this day. So.
Thank you for saying that. And I'm only, again, bringing that up to empathize with you, because I talk to you guys all the time about my experience as a player, but it's different hearing it from a female. And just a short, quick story for me before I open up questions for the girls. My first junior college year, I had Eldon Campbell behind me, who played 15 years in the NBA while I was in high school. He's 6'11", so if I get blown by on defense, I got him to clean up my mess behind me. So I didn't defend very well, and I had a guy playing in front of me when I was in junior college who I didn't think was very good, with all due respect. But he would play like 5 feet off his guy, so he never got beat off the dribble while I was up pressuring my guy, but he'd always played all the minutes, and I sat behind him. So I played that whole season, didn't get very much time as he played, but I worked my tail off in the spring sessions that we had. And I'm talking about really worked, hit the gym, got in the weight room, and lo and behold, he didn't come back to school that year. And I only bring that up to talk about something that Cass was talking about, and it's putting in the work. Just put in the work. And I call it divine intervention, because if you know me, you know me. It was divine intervention, and that guy's gone now. And I played 40 minutes a game every single game for my sophomore season. So it is about putting in the work. That you have to do something different. You can't just pout about it. You got to do something different. Sometimes there's a challenge there for a reason. Maybe you're not ready to play right now. Maybe you did need to put that work in to get to where you want it to be. So Cass, thank you for sharing that, because I know that's, that is pretty intrusive when you talk about, what your shortcomings are in that, from that perspective. So thank you for sharing that with the girls. So girls, if you have any questions, I do have a few more, but just in case anybody doesn't have any, I got a few more. If you have any questions, I'm opening up the floor for you. You guys know how to use or unmute yourselves with your space bar if you're on a computer. So go ahead, have a go. Cass is ready for you.
I just quickly had a question. It's Tyler, by the way. Sorry if anyone can't see. Yeah, so I know that as you go along during your basketball journey, like every stepping stone counts. And like, I guess what I want to know now is like, now that you're at college, for me, college is the dream. Well, that's the next stepping stone that I'm hoping to make. For you, I just want to know what your next stepping stone after college is. Like, is it staying in the US, or is it traveling to different areas of the world, or is it coming back to Australia and playing professional here, or not playing professional? I just wanted to pick your brain on that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And you're right, there are stepping stones that when you set yourself goals and stuff, and like that trajectory might change, but yeah, always looking to better yourself and kind of improve. And for me, because college, there's like a lot of factors afterwards that depend on what I'll do. But for me, like the dream, I guess, is I would love to go play professionally overseas in like Europe and stuff. And just like, I have a passion for travel, but also being able to do that and play basketball at the same time, and kind of just broaden my horizons and stuff, and use basketball as kind of a channel to do that. But then, and like but obviously I want to play at the highest level I can play, or at the highest level that I get the opportunity to play at, and then come back home and maybe play here. But that's obviously kind of dependent on a bunch of things. It might be coming back here to play first, it might be staying. Yeah, I'm not really sure, but in my mind, like if someone asked me that question, I'd probably say go play overseas and see the world while getting to play basketball and still improving my skills and becoming the best player I can be.
Thanks. Awesome question. So this is a type-in question, Cass. I think there's a few people that wanted to know this, and it's probably something that they do need to know. And again, it's weird coming from me because I'm a dude and I've been doing it for 20 some odd years, but how do you cope with leaving your family?
Obviously, yeah, this is going to be different for everyone depending on your family situation, depending on the type of person you are, introvert, extrovert, like all that kind of things, the factors and all that play into like your family dynamics back home, the situation you're going to. So for me, a lot of the reason why I picked Davidson was because when I was there, I felt such a sense of, like, I know people throw around the word community, but like an actual sense of community, and the town is like super connected to the college. So like everyone's kind of involved in everything. And like, it sounds funny to say, but like half of our crowds are people, there's this like nursing home that makes up a big part of Davidson, like in the town, and like they bus people to our games. And like, it sounds weird, but like we have like students, and then we have like all the people from the community, but then we also have this like giant bunch of people from the nursing home, and they're like the best people ever. And it just like interacting with them, and there's heaps of programs at our school. Like, I'm a part of this like grandfriends program, so I have a set of grandparents in the town, and they're so awesome. They're like the coolest people. And I also have a host family, which isn't a big thing at many schools, but so I have I have a host family, and I have a set of grandparents, which is like, they're never going to, like people say, like they're never going to replace the family I have here. But it's so awesome to like know that I have a place that isn't just the campus, but I also have people in the community that support me, like always checking in, seeing if I'm doing okay, coming and supporting me. And like when my families come to visit, even when my grandparents came to visit, they were with my grandfriends, and like they all just hung out, and like everyone got to know each other. And for my family, they feel a lot more comfortable knowing the people that they're leaving me with, and like I have a lot of support surrounding me. But obviously you do get homesick, and for me, I'm one of those people that like, I tell everyone I never get homesick, you know, that kind of thing. And like, I'm super independent and like all this stuff. And you can only say that for so long. And then, because I probably never have got homesick. Like, I've stayed away from home for months in the past, but it probably wasn't until the end of my first year when basketball stopped being played, and I didn't really have that like basketball, like obviously you're still training, but I didn't have basketball as an outlet. So in terms of games and stuff. And so, yeah, it really did begin to miss my family and all that. But I think the support network that I had set up there and that had been provided to me really made everything all good. And then it just kind of makes coming back home that like extra bit sweeter, because you know that all the time you have to spend here is super precious. And yeah, just making that extra effort is, yeah, what I find really important. But obviously differs for everyone.
Yeah, some of y'all I know want to run away from home. But anyway, like it's a focus thing, isn't it? Like, you know what you're there for. You're going there for a reason. You know it's an opportunity that you're not getting here. So you tend to not really think about, or I tend not to really think about home at that time, where when I was playing, that was my job. That's what I was there for. I wasn't getting that same opportunity in America. So I was focused on my job. And it'd be similar for that situation where you're focused on your academics. And I love that we've talked so much about academics here, because it's not about the basketball. I hope you guys don't think that you're going to school to play basketball. If you're not going over there to get a degree, you're fooling yourself. Because I talk to you guys all the time about your lifespan being about 10 years as a professional athlete, if you're lucky. You've got to play year round to make any kind of decent money. And, you watch, the injuries can happen. All of those things can happen. And what are you going to have to fall back on if you're not getting that education? So I'm glad that you talk so much about the education side of things, Cass. Any more questions for Cass? I think that was the major one. I think that came through was about the, leaving home situation. I think that was one of the big ones that I think we had 3 people ask similar questions, but it was all around that concept of leaving home.
Yeah, I think another thing with that too is I was really grounded in the fact that I knew that my parents were super proud of me for getting that opportunity, but also all the work that they had done to give me that opportunity, like in terms of like going to a good school and like all the stuff they've done for allowing me to play basketball at a high level. I knew that when I was there that I was also kind of doing it for them, because they had put so much time and effort into allowing me to do what I love, that like I was making them proud, and I was doing that kind of like all fed into it as well. So like you always know, like, yeah, like I do miss them like crazy, but also like I'm doing this because like they've set the paving for me to achieve what I want to achieve. So that kind of, for me, that kind of grounds me a little bit. But yeah, again, different for everyone.
Yeah, I think it will be.